see. Can y'all unmute yourselves, or is it on my end only?
There we go. Hello. What up, bro?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go. My levels is looking good. Got this little cold ass mic.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. Put a link in there for y'all. Get my headsets together too. So man, you outside chilling, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm putting together this putting away this chess set. I had playing chess with Devon yesterday. We kind of just left it out, so putting it away.
Oh, that's my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm playing chess.
Let me know.
Probably
Let me know when you want to get a game. Huh?
I've been playing chess probably since I was about 10.
Oh, I'm not playing you. I know that language. I know what that means.
Yeah, I do. I'm no good, man. I just ain't never lost yet.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah, man. That's a no for me.
I like it though. I think similar to how what we putting together here with Hustler2Entrepreneur with the just strategies. Like I don't even know like all the openings and closings and all that kind of shit. I got concept of how the pieces move and what I'm trying to do, and in that, that's how we
As long as you understand that, man. That's the most important piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, man. So as you can see, banging it out, hoodie season.
I love that.
Yeah, I got one for you at the house. I'm gonna have to get it over to you. I put theirs in the mail already.
Nice, man. Yeah, either I'll stop in on you or we can figure it out.
All right, good. So Brandon getting his headsets together. We got about 7 minutes of BS at least, just to get around some waters. What y'all thinking? What y'all thinking so far about the social media page, the little push that I'm trying to do on the back end of it?
Yeah, bro. I see you putting in work.
Yeah, I love the videos.
It look good. It look good, bro.
Yeah, the videos is fire. I'm like, fuck, we said all this on the first one, and I'm still not even halfway through the video. Chopping and cutting. I'm like, it was a lot in that little. Yeah, so,
yeah, man. No, you definitely putting it together well.
Yeah, I have to buy more Zoom space because the Zoom. Yeah, can you go? My bad, Mike. Can you go landscape, or do you gotta go straight up? Yeah.
Like this? Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason why I don't know if you can't sit it like that, I get it, but
yeah. No, I'm gonna figure it out. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, just make the video easier.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing this morning?
What's good, man?
What's up, King?
Man, everything good.
I'm actually bothered this morning, honestly.
What happened?
It's just like you have so people say certain shit. I guess when it comes from certain people, if somebody say something like about you, not like a rumor or no shit, but like an insult, I think that shit kind of, at least for me, it sit with me a little bit. I'm like, damn, this nigga, one didn't call me a buffoon.
What?
Damn. Yeah, I'm like a buffoon. Like fuck. Like
on one of your social media debates.
Definitely on Facebook. I think the issue was that it was my cousin, and I'm like, damn, like, what kind of nigga been on Facebook for 3 days? Like, you ain't like you never. You gotta think like most people don't understand my Facebook tactics. I write on there with a certain emotional grab because I want to sensationalize you to like provoke you or to think. But some of the shit don't be my position. It just be a thought process that I have. I might have heard it or something. I want to just discuss it. But most people, yeah, this nigga call me a buffoon. I'm like, damn, this nigga, I ain't talked to you in years. Like, seen you on Facebook for 3 days. Like, where you come up with that from? Like, from this conversation? Or is that something that you been holding? So, but yeah, that shit had me up sleep all night with that one.
I feel you. That's one of the ones I kind of been able to sit back. That's why I said the Facebook debates. I see how you trigger certain little conversations in the comments.
Yeah.
Like you say, like people will never know what's your stance. Like on somebody, all right, I'm gonna neutralize you. I'm gonna ask you some questions and provoke the thought, but that don't necessarily mean that's what I stand on,
Yeah, no, we just having a discussion. I think some things is worth a discussion. Sometimes I need to learn. I'm combative when it's time to learn because I think that I actually think that's a combat sport, like intellectual, trying to understand perspectives. Like I kind of want to know how you figure that or how you get to that. So I am a lot combative when it comes down to learning. It's always been my tactic, but yeah, I don't think I'm on there being a buffoon. Like, damn, that was like almost like calling me a coon. I'm like, damn, them things rhyme or something. What you saying exactly?
But also too, man, you gotta understand that discussions and communication is as much of a sport. Oh shit, I'm sorry. It's as much of a sport as boxing is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the same intention you go into the discussion with is the same emotion or lack of emotion you have to keep, because the first one in the boxing ring that gets emotional that's the motherfucker that's gonna lose.
Right, I agree.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
it's an art, man.
Yeah, it's an art. You gotta respect that art.
So yeah, so that's me. Honestly, I was like, damn, I've been kind of stewing on that one all night. Like, so that's a 2-day stew.
Don't, man.
This nigga. I mean, I hear you. It ain't like it's changing. It's just trying to like, damn, where did that come from? And we got our family little issues and shit, so I can see it. But all right, almost 8:15. I'm guessing D gonna come in probably kind of later on the tail end. But yeah, so our might get back.
Yeah.
Remember trying to figure topics and how we gonna arrive at least to the topics. But I like the name. We're gonna call this The Grind. Weekly Convos to inspire entrepreneurs. I think that was dope. Especially how we arrived at that. I'm like, damn, we gotta be able to hit it where we can start branding that separate. Because if we're gonna go into like the book club, like, or at least recommended readings, like we should be having like tags for those, like so people can hear a certain name and actually be able to link it to what we're trying to do. So, and then some shit that you could put on a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or whatever. Like, I think whenever you get to that point where you can, get one word or something taggy or trendy on a t-shirt, then you got a good hook for a brand. So, or at least to start up the brand. So
No, that's definitely true. Something. The logo, the hoodie, that's popping right there. So you gotta have the merch behind it. It help.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
helps with everything.
yeah. So, but yeah, I wanted. So we was talking about topics. Start thinking around like the top of the business entrepreneur food chain would have been like structure, taxes, uh, insurance. Shit, we kind of hit last week, but I had the reason why Brandon wanted this on Sunday. Uh, he was like he wanted to kind of go into the new week with like some motivation behind him, some momentum, and also like kind of clearing. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, just this Friday, um, I had to tell a client no. I didn't have to tell him no, but I told a client no, and it was it was an interesting process for me. Um, so the backstory is this is one of my more affluent clients. The Bentleys, the Rolls Royces, seen them all with the 2,600 square foot homes. Like they got some bread behind them. So and it was not just having bread behind them, but they was actually one of my like my bigger clients, like the more frequent and all of that. So pandemic hit, of course they stalled me out. Oh man, don't come back. I think the studios and stuff was closed, so they wasn't working. And they did a lot of downsizing around that time, from what I understand. So when they approached me this week, like, yo, we need car washing. Uh, are you still doing it? I'm like, of course. Like, I've been, reaching out to y'all like monthly, trying to get back in the schedule, and y'all was blowing me off. So I'm building up and hope it's not too slow. So the guy like, all right, we at this location. If you come, I can get you 20 cars, which means it's more than just him. I'm thinking he got something set up. Like, okay, I got a guy, and he gonna come handle the business. And the next statement was, but you gotta be competitive with your prices. And you was already competitive before. So that kind of left me with like a little, I'm gonna say like a bad taste, because it was like you asking me for my service, but then you telling me that I gotta come down on pricing or suggest pricing, or I'm not sure exactly what he was saying, but it sounded like to me like you need to lower your price. So I'm like, damn, okay, so maybe this is a bigger situation than I think, and the volume is gonna be like the makeup. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's talk with management when I get there. And then the dude go, oh no, I can't control management. Like I don't know that. I was just saying like I was gonna give you some referrals. And I'm like, hold up, dude. Like, what you talking? Like I thought you was saying I could get all these cars and you had it set up. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm still kind of on board. But then the day came, which was Friday, for me to go service, and I'm like, let me get like the fullness of my arrival, and what's when I get there, what I'm supposed to be doing, who I'm supposed to be contacting, so on and so forth. And then it was like, oh, well, you just like park on the street. Dude living downtown, just like park on the street and walk. And I'm like, I can't. How am I gonna walk my equipment like here? I'm like, hey, yo, I pull up. Like I have to be able to pull up to the cars and work. So that went to like, oh well, just tell a valet while you here. I'm like, are they gonna let me in, or what am I doing? Am I supposed to be finding space for me and you, like your cars, or is it just for my car? Like we're in downtown LA. Like I need to understand what's going on. Oh well, like you could just figure it out when you like, nah. So I'm starting to see like this backpedal. Everything wasn't right, and I start to get that feeling like, yo, this is not gonna be the value of this service for me is not where I need it to be in order to one, service it and make actual money or profit. And then two, I'm starting to realize, like, if I don't feel good about doing service for you, then we probably not gonna have good service. Like, I'm going to give you the quality, but inside I'm gonna be like in turmoil. Like, man, why the fuck am I here? I'm like this, I don't like that, you know. And once I'm whining and complaining, like, it's, and at that point it's not worth it. So I let him kind of still trying to figure out what's what. And then I was like, hey, I'm sorry, man, I'm gonna have to pass on this one. And he was like, okay, like in the text, like wow. And I was like, so you kind of thought, because you know where we was at a year and a half ago, that you was gonna be able to squeeze me, like, oh, we his best clients or something, you know what I'm saying? But now you're gonna have to come down on your price because we have to downgrade, and we about to put you in some, you know, if you work downtown before, or even just been down there, you know, you ain't gonna just pull up in no parking space and then I'm gonna be able to go get cars out of a parking lot, bring them, drive them way over. Like, I got to cross Olympic to, like, come on, man, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I felt, even though I felt like I saying no was okay, like, oh yeah, I'm not scared of these people. You know, I could just tell you no, like, it's not working out for me, or it's not gonna benefit. But it took me almost an hour to say no, because of the programming that I had was you never say no, like you just go get the money. But as I'm getting older and wiser, it's like, yo, all money really ain't good money. And after saying no, I felt real good. And then on the flip though, I'm like, fuck, I kind of feel bad because I just missed out on money. Like, how is he going to perceive me? Is he going to be talking shit? Like, is you going to be spreading dirt on my name because I didn't want to do your car? Like, you know what I mean? All the little questions about, to me, on why I should have said yeah, start popping up. And I'm thinking, like, am I being lazy? They're going to put the lazy black man tag on me. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, oh man. So I thought it was, this would be a good day to discuss if you should ever say no, when you should say no, and as you said, Mike, if you saying no, how. So that's where we at. So I think that's a good preface for this week topic. And I know I'm looking at Brandon's face. He's definitely either should have said no or said no.
We'll let Brandon lead this one.
What's up, B?
On the highway with we headed back to Carolina right
Yeah, you in and out. You said
now. So we on the highway looking at trees. All right, so saying no. So saying no boils down to the ultimate saying no. It starts with the price, right? Somebody's trying to haggle you on your number that you already got. In business, it's the art of negotiation. That's something that I learned the hard way, where I think the thing that really let me realize that most Black people don't ask for a discount. We kind of pay the price. If you give them 10%, they happy, they going to buy my service half the time. But what really tested my patience was when I started really dealing with different nationalities that actually practice the art of negotiation.
I think you went mute.
You can't hear me?
I couldn't hear you. Could you hear him, Mike?
Yeah, I hear him.
Okay.
Oh, so I don't know what happened. All right, go ahead.
So I was saying about the art of negotiation. So you start realizing when you deal with different nationalities that they actually practice going somewhere and asking you for a discount. So for me, it started where, you know, first time dealing with somebody from the Middle East, something like that, and them telling me how much they're going to pay me for my product. All right, your total is $1,500. No, I'll give you $800. Like, what? Like, it don't work like that. But being younger and naive in the game, it's like, okay, I still off certain deals still make profit. So you kind of sometimes need to make something. You start taking those little dumb sales sometimes. And then if you finally get to a point where you grow within business and it like turns into this, like, you know, your value. So I started knowing the art of negotiation as soon as somebody came in and they asked me the first few like trigger questions, like, all right, I'm going up on the price from the very beginning in this negotiation because you're going to try to beat me down. So I think knowing your values, one, and having your prices set at a price to where you have 10% maximum for your discount to kind of get out of like, hey, this is my bottom line that I'm willing to take. But yeah, I've said no to a lot of people.
So I'm gonna piggyback off that, Brandon. I feel like learning what the red flags are in the beginning with regard to new clients is important. You know, I've been in a couple of different businesses, and the minute you good, Kevin?
Yeah, mine's is like in and out, but I'm back now. I think I just take
Okay.
my headphones out and see what's up.
Cool. So the minute that you know, there's questions being presented that are out of the ordinary from the typical client, you know, that's when, you know, the dog's ears start to perk up, like, what are we actually discussing here? And so based on that, I think it's important to know your audience, because there's two types of customers, you know, or I mean, there's many types of customers, but realistically, there's two. There's a typical customer, and then there's the customer that's going to require a bit more. And learning that early, I think, is really important in business, because when you learn that, you can establish boundaries. And I know that you were talking, Kevin, about, you know, there were just certain things that were coming up during the conversation with with the guy where you were like, damn, this, and now this, and now this. It's like if you would have, and not saying what you should have done or what, you know, what it should have been or what it would have been, but, you know, had you have picked up on those cues earlier in the conversation, you maybe would have realized, like, okay, this may be going somewhere that isn't conducive to a successful sale or a successful business relationship. And so, you know, if you establish those boundaries early and say, okay, if I'm going to downtown, I'm not parking on the street. If I'm going to downtown, I'm going to need you to contact your valet service to let them know that we are coming, because he's treating you as though you guys aren't on the same level. And that's a problem. And once you establish those boundaries early, it's easier to say no. And you know, I think Brandon could agree with that, because if somebody's asking for something just outrageous, I mean, his requests weren't extremely outrageous, but if he were asking you to come to Vegas, like that's damn near the equivalent of going to downtown LA with no plan. You know what I mean? And so it's either going to be a no, or I'm going to have to be accommodated for, you know, this type of travel time, this type of whatever, you know, accidentals and incidentals may come up with me being in downtown LA. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree in that situation, but you see how he threw the manipulation in there, because he does know who I am, and you know, we've had, our relationship is something like maybe 4 or 5 years before the pandemic, and I've traveled with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when he move, I move. If he go here, I go here. If it's a home, it's a home. If it's a condo, it's a condo, so on and so forth.
Hey, Kev. Fat Joe said it best. Yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Real.
Right.
Real.
So he threw in that, oh, I can get, you know, I got 20 cars, like, because he knew, like, okay, that's my steez. Like, we're gonna come in and we're gonna get the building, and then we're gonna run it up. And then when I'm like, all right, cool, let's talk to management, and then he kind of like, oh no, like, I'm like, oh, and you can, but go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's just like we were talking about before the grind began. Conversation is a dance. Sometimes you're gonna lead, and sometimes you're not. but there's no, it's negotiation, and there's no emotion in negotiation. And he established that at first, but he was pissing you off because you were like, "Yo, this isn't my steez. My price is my price," and you may have felt disrespected, even at jump, because he knew what it was and you knew what it was, and he tried to kind of test that relationship. And I feel like in business, with anything, a business owner is they're doing what they do because they have a passion for what it is that they're doing, or because they do it better than everybody else. And that's the passion. The passion is to just do things better than everybody else. But if you're a cook and you can't put that love and love and ingredient into whatever the meal is going to be, you're going to dread doing the job, and people are going to taste that. People taste when there's love in the food, just like people see when there was love within your craft and what it was that you were doing for them. And if he's creating an environment to where you can't put love into your business, then ultimately what's going to happen after that, he's going to see his vehicle and he's going to be like, this is not consistent work. You know what I mean? But the reality is that this wasn't a consistent transaction.
Right.
Was he trying to, maybe he didn't ask the right question. Was he trying to work himself into a deal to get kickbacks?
He didn't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, how he overstretched.
Okay.
I'm coming. Like y'all are definitely, and I think he used that as the manipulative tactic. Like, that I made a lot of money with him. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I touched a lot of big people inadvertently working for him. So I think he used that as, like, he threw out the building that he was in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he gave me all the fluff, the first date.
He was gassing you up.
I was hoping. I was in there like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And then, you get to the date, and then you looking for the roses, and you kind of like, what the hell is this? Yeah, that was one of them spots. But I wanted to say, you said as you the passion and how you love and how you put into your craft. Now, I guess I would suspect that most business owners have gone through this, but for sure, me and Brandon have reiterated it. But which was, when you're young, you're trying to get your foot in the door. You kind of taking some losses, some low balls, hustling backwards per se, is what we would call it today, just to get your foot in the door. But as you start understanding your worth, your value, loving yourself a little bit more, knowing what your passion do, knowing what you come with. Like, I know there's so many detailers that can wash a car. They can do a good job. Like, most of the people that work with me on my team, they can wash a car better than me. But
yeah, they're on your team.
Right. But it was it's just a little something that I have that's just a little bit different that I know that I come with. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a consistency, there's a determination, there's a discipline, there's an integrity. You see what I'm saying? That I present.
And those, Kevin, are the non-negotiables. And that's what should make it easier for you to say no. Like, yo, what I bring to the table, I can't negotiate that. You know what I mean? And so that should allow you the room to say no, because you know your worth. And if they want McDonald's pricing, at umami burger quality, then.
Now watch this. Even if he would have stayed to a price that would have been comfortable for me, I'm no longer willing to go through the hoops. It's like, kind of like you said earlier, let your people know I'm coming, carve out the space so that I could come and do my job. Like, if I got to get there and haggle, like, I think we discussed this a little bit last week on how me coming to a building dressed in a way, I got the uniform on, but we about to wash a car. I'm not being perceived as a resident. You get what I'm saying? So I have to haggle. I got to, I was just telling my unit number, like, no, man, like that you supposed to be calling down, making sure that when I get there, I'm able to perform. So once I started realizing that I had to go through hoops and, run across the street, which means that I got to lock up my vehicle or pack up my vehicle to run back across the street to get another car to come back. Like, I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not even worth a compensation on the back end of that. Like, you couldn't give me an extra $100 to say, like, well, just, here, I'll give you extra 100. Like, I don't want to do the haggle. Like,
yeah.
I'm grown.
You having to move cars from across the street. We were talking about liability. It just increases your liability times 10, So
liability, the wait time.
And that 100 don't cover it.
100 do not cover it.
Yeah.
And I'm just
like, and here's you know what? Here's the other thing, guys. It's nice when people patronize your business, but it's not like they aren't getting anything in return. They aren't coming to your business just to walk in and say hello. They're coming because they know that you're adding some kind of value to their life. And if that value isn't worth it to them and they can find somebody else that can bring that same value, by all means, please,
yeah,
tell me who it is and maybe I'll hire him.
Our business started off making blinds custom.
Mm-hmm.
Right before high school, my dad had money put to the side for what would have been called my college fund, and he bought a lot of buybacks from these different companies. So talking about buying thousands of blinds, pennies on the dollar, right? So we had we had a clearance side and we had our custom side. On the clearance side, for years, people were able to come into the store, no matter what their price range was, or if they bought a new house, or if they were on a budget, and get their whole house done at this unbelievable discounted rate. It was good money. I could go to work and make I can go to work on a Saturday, make $250 clear. It was all profit. Put it in my pocket and be good. As that inventory started to dwindle down, I got somebody with a brand recession had came. So now I got people with brand new Mercedes-Benz, brand new house pulling up. And instead of looking at our custom product, they're going in and they want to buy the clearance product. All right, I might have 2 windows out of 20 that you can buy from the clearance side. And they started trying to always hold us to the clearance price. So when you knew in the back of your head, like, hey, I know I don't have this size, you have to order it custom. And the amount of haggling that I had to go through, I got to the point to where I just basically took everything out of the clearance side, put it inside of a storage. Like, I refuse to have a customer come in the store to ask me for a discounted blind ever again. When the money was good, when we had plentiful inventory of it, it was good money, no problem at all. But then it's like, okay, I'm trying to push my business in 2 different ways. So either you got to pick your customers. Either you want that discount bargain customer, or you want the luxury customer. And this is what I have to spend. This is what I have to spend, and I'm going to spend it every time. So I had to make a hard decision on doing that, but it was well worth not having the stress behind it, because it got to the point to where, man, you're looking at a person who didn't cheat themselves on nothing else, and now you get down to this last portion and you're gonna cheat me. Like, nah, I gotta go ahead and eliminate that way of thinking. Like, unless you buying 1,000 blinds, that's the only way you're gonna get a bargain, a bulk discount.
Yeah,
I agree. So I remember this was early in my business career per se, and I can reference it, but I never really was able to harness it the way that it should have been harnessed. As one older cat always said, a business is a 2-way street. He said both parties should be equally satisfied when doing business together. And And it was kind of interesting because normally I would, as stated, like I would take the short because I wanted to like get in. You know what I'm saying?
The customer's always right. You know, like
yeah, unless they wrong. Yeah, man. So that the way that like I was just telling them that early in my business career, one of my clients was like, yo, business is a two-way street and both parties should be equally satisfied when doing business with each other. And I was telling them like I was able to understand that, but I wasn't able to like harness it like the way that I am now. Like now I'm realizing like I've taken jobs where I'm doing the work and I hate it. Like literally like, yo, man, fuck this. I'm done. Like fuck the whole business. Like this shit is, so I gotta get to the point where I'm realizing like, yo, like you gotta, you have a lane per se, and you gotta stay in that lane or you're doing yourself a disservice.
That's the reason why in my industry and even in your industry, there's other businesses that people can use. You know, like, okay, you looking for this type of service, this type of price point. Well, dude right here might be the person that you really got to use. I can't back down and either come down on my price to kind of fit that need. Being a father nowadays, family man, like, man, me spending 3 hours on some bullshit, I'd much rather spend that 3 hours with my kids and not even worry about any kind of money, you know?
I agree.
Being able to be at home on time. You know, like I had times where you in the field 8, 9 o'clock working, and people don't give a shit. You know what I mean? They like my wife at home stressing, trying to feed and bathe kids. Like, nah, I got to be able to dedicate my time to my family too. So that family kind of sometimes, bro, like my family is more important sometimes than the customer. You know what I mean?
And that's sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
I remember like few years ago, kind of getting out of that phase, like, don't call my phone after 5 o'clock. I stopped giving out my cell phone number where it's like, call the office, because man, you be in the middle changing the diaper, phone ring, and that person doesn't care that you're on your personal time. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
No, that's super true. But that's also the mentality that comes with being seasoned and understanding your worth. You're able to establish those boundaries when you know what your worth is. You know what I mean? Shit. Taking it back to the hustler days of this, this segment, what we're talking about. When a dope man's out of dope, yo, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada this week. You know what I mean? So thumbs off. But the other thing about that is me and my boy Sam, we talk about this all the time. When you're growing a business or just in life, you're gonna have to pay tuition. If you're going to college, you're paying tuition. And anytime you're learning anything, you're paying tuition. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you got to take those crazy ass jobs to realize, yo, this is not what I want to do. And that's called paying tuition. You know what I mean? You're taking jobs from people who are sending you all over the place or don't have the appropriate accommodations ready for you whenever you go to take a job. And you know that you're never going to do that again. And that's what makes it easier to say no.
And to add on to that, it's always different, especially when you have employees, right? It's always different when your employees is going through those things. But then when it finally gets down to, hey, I got to go out in the field again and go handle this customer. And then you realize, like, I'm not going for this shit now. If I'm sending my dude, I'm paying $15 an hour, he might have to go through some of this shit. I shouldn't be going through this.
Because you've already paid that tuition, Brandon.
Yeah, man.
But you know what I mean?
But you still have to sometimes go back and take that refresher course, you know?
Right.
Yes.
Not getting lost in or I've made it here. And I'm not going back here. Sometimes you got to go put your feet back in it just to know what your team is going through.
Exactly. But here's the thing about
if they're slowing down.
What are you gonna say? I know you got something good. Because you said if they're slowing down, what?
Oh, because if they're slowing down your team, that means if they're slowing you down, that means they're gonna slow your team down. That means that's 10 less blinds that's gonna get installed. That's 10 less cars that's gonna get washed. You know, that's 10.
Yeah.
That's 10 less phone calls to new potential customers that we're not making. So like you get a chance to realize that it is really affecting your guys too and your bottom line.
Yep. But here's the thing about that, because you already paid that tuition 5 years ago and you know exactly what type of customer this is. Instead of taking a whole job to figure that out, you could mitigate the situation in 5 minutes. And it's no longer a situation for you, and you're able to teach that to your employee.
So what you saying that, Mike, is there what mistake is the business owner or are we making in that situation? You know, the clients you don't want, they're going to keep coming, but you still take the refresher course per se.
But so there's two ways to go about answering that question. The first answer to that is don't take the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? The second answer to that is if the job is worth it for you to take, understand that they aren't paying you for some new booty Rudy Poo type shit because you've already gone through that. They're paying you for all the tuition that you've paid into this business. They're paying you for the 15, 20 years that you've already put in. And this is no longer, a $20 an hour job. This is now a $40 an hour job, just based on what their demands are. And each customer's demands don't fit into the same spectrum of your price guide. You know what I mean? So oftentimes it's better to alter the price and everybody's happy, just like you were told, or just like we've all learned. It is a business, and the business has to make sense on both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
let me start in right here. I'm gonna run it a little bit back. So I gave you the hesitancy that I thought I didn't have in telling this. I'm gonna say one of my top clients at the point prior to the pandemic, top client. And telling them no was a lot harder than me telling a cat I know, you see what I'm saying, down the block that's just kind of trying to, or I'm just supporting Black business. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, I was more reluctant to tell him no, the top client.
Because of what comes with that relationship?
Yeah, it wasn't even necessarily the money. It was the fact that I'm like, damn, I felt beholden to them. Like, y'all was there for me 4 or 5 years. You see what I'm saying? Which is great when you come to 2-3 times a week car washing. Like, that's amazing. And I just felt like, damn, I shouldn't be able to tell him no. And you can see in the response that he was like, oh, like, out of all I did for you, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it felt like that.
But here's the thing: if you're dealing with somebody who's keeping score, that you don't want to do that. And this is actually a great segue to the topic of this discussion. What I like to do with regard to telling people no, because you can't just come with the problem. Like, hey, I can't do this. You also got to have a solution. So oftentimes what I like to do is refer them to somebody else. And it's mutually beneficial because you aren't compromising your integrity and you don't feel, like you've let this client down, but you've also provided them another resource to get the job handled for what they're looking to do. And if that referral doesn't perform to your standard, you'll hear about it, 1, and 2, the next time that customer comes back around to you and say, hey, I want you, then they're going to know what comes with having you. And that's going to be checking all your boxes. You know what I mean? Because the service that they're getting is impeccable. I've seen your work. the service they're getting is impeccable, bro. And if they don't, I know they're not going to get that from a referral.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Honestly, I don't have people to refer people to. That's the guy honest truth. Like, I don't know other detailers. I've seen
Find one.
Yeah, I've seen detailers out, but nobody.
Find one.
That might
because
be
you.
that I
Yeah,
might,
go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's the thought process, because I'm so competitive in a sense that I never spent time trying to, one, figure somebody else out, and two, give you business. Like, nah, that's mine. It's like, I'm going to get it. And I mean, we really, we was literally working 5 a.m. to, 7, 8, 9 o'clock p.m. on some days. And then just recently we switched it, and I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and we coming back in 12 a.m. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you.
I went and got every dollar. Like, so I was.
But I understand. But now you're an entrepreneur, and every client is not your client. And so you have to have some kind of funnel to send the people who aren't your clients to, so that you can make room for the folks that you actually want to have as clients.
Okay. I like that. I'm gonna have to figure that part out. That's something I'm put on my list. So as a business owner, you should have somebody doing similar work that you can refer to people that. Do you take a piece? Is that, or do you just give them?
You can get it. You can get a referral fee. You can have a referral fee set up with them if need be, but it don't even have to be somebody who's local. Send them to somebody who's from Pasadena, somebody from Orange County. Like, if you don't want to be a local guy, send it to somebody far out, but you should have somebody you can feed certain stuff to. For our industry, the thing that would kill us is repairs. Going out how to do a service call. And especially if the service call wasn't critiqued on the very front end when that customer called, because we should charge you $75 if we cross over the threshold of your door, whether we can fix it or not.
Yeah.
And you look up sometimes, you get to a job and the secretary didn't tell me that you guys were going to charge me $75. So now it's like, do you turn around and walk out the door, or do you try to help the person you're already in front of the house? So you end up still helping them. They had your product, you help them. But if I had a guy who I could have just referred to do all the repair work, hey, you charge your minimum, kick me back $25 off every one. I would have been more happy doing it that way instead of sending my own truck with a guy on payroll, gas, the whole 9 yards. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant, honestly. And it's somewhere I ain't never really thought about. I would hear, I have clients that's like, oh, do you know somebody else or whatever, you outside of service range? And I would just be like, no. I didn't realize maybe how much money possibly I'm leaving on the table in referrals, or just how I'm losing maybe positional authority in my industry by not being able to say, I know somebody else that could come out and service you, even though you can't get me the best, but I got somebody at least comparable.
And here's the other thing, because your business is niche, you deal with the whole shebang. You don't necessarily do one-offs. Those people will also refer you, because somebody's going to ask them, hey, can you do this whole building? They're going to be like, no. But if you have a relationship with another vendor that's in your industry, now you have somebody that will refer you, and it's cyclical, bro. It's just going to keep coming back. You may not even, granted, per you and Brandon's combo, you can charge a referral fee, but honestly, the money, the referrals that come to you is going to keep your plate full.
I did a job for the FAA. They got a building down on Aviation right before you get the Rosecrans. And they wanted that, they called us out for blinds, but they only wanted to end up getting the windows tinted. I ended up finding the tint company that could do all the work. I think it was like maybe 40 windows or something that had to be tinted. So I think I may have made $50 off each window that they tinted. I think I made more than the tinting company. Middleman, because I had to walk him around to kind of still get the recognition for the job. So, you know, if you are partnered with people to where you got the right person that you partner with or that you bring in to where they're not putting smut on your name or trying to steal your clients, somebody who's gonna work fair with you, you know? Hey, probably going back to somebody you done fired a long time ago who already trying to do it on the side anyway. Somebody who you already kind of trust them, you know, is all right, I know what you're gonna do. You're already washing cars on the side. Hey, it's a good customer for him to go do that.
Yeah. And then with that, you're able to also see who's up and coming and whether that's going to present a risk to your company or whether it's a situation where they're doing something a little bit different than you're doing and you haven't caught on to that trend yet. So I think it's very important to, you know, do the R&D with regard to who's in your industry and use that as a resource in your business. And if that resource is, you know, a transferable referral that will prevent you from telling somebody else no and still having, you know, and still getting them what they need while also keeping you in a positive light, why not? Why not? Because, bro, there's room for everybody to shine.
If I say you asking me why not specifically, that's just the mentality that we grew up with. You see what I'm saying? Like we in competition, and cooperative work is new for me. Like I'm competitive. Everything that we've done was a competition, even when maybe it shouldn't have been. It was competition. Like if you the baddest on the block, that's a competition. Like if if you get money, that's a competition. So we definitely running into mind states now.
But if you show somebody else if you put somebody else on and you show them how to get bread, it's going to be a continuous flow, because if ever you're down, you can lean on those people you put on.
I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some inflection around that.
Yeah,
definitely. But like I do R&D on the my competition for sure. Like if I see you watching and I got some time, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull up and park and watch you do everything. Like, I'm timing you everything. I'm going, who is this cat? Why are you on my block? What you bringing? What kind of heat you bringing? Like in my complex. In my complex now, I got a cat that washes the cars in the complex. Like, you know, I'm definitely going behind the cars and seeing what he doing. Like, ooh, this dude right here is fire. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, now that you're saying that might be my referral.
Kevin be putting fingerprint
sabotaging.
I'm definitely white gloving it though.
Yeah,
that's almost any car though.
Bro, and if it's to your standard and you're doing the referring, you better believe that those people are going to trust you. Because if they've trusted you this long with something as precious as their vehicle, then they're going to trust your opinion. They're going to trust your word and say, "Yo, yeah, this guy is as good as I am." You know what I mean? Or a notch below, or even a notch above.
No, they would probably be better. If you meet my standards, you would be better because I'm divided while I'm out. You see what I'm saying? I'm getting the job done, but I'm still, you know, I'm doing the business stuff on the back end. You know, I work with my teams mostly. There was only been a little bit of time where I was able to kind of sit back, but mostly if we get something and I'm able to give it to my team, I'm going out to get the next thing. So I'm always constantly in the mix. But I wanted to swing it a little bit back to we mentioned pricing and our like ideal client per se. I think that's a target client or two types of clients around that conversation. One thing that I just did recently was to weed out those people that I know is that I don't want. That's gonna be the hassle and the haggle. I made it damn near impossible pricing wise to get your service with me. So when I say that, I mean I don't do a car wash. Like if you're gonna get me for your one-off, it's gonna be a service above a car wash. That's for two reasons for me. One is for me not to be doing a whole lot of work. Let's say you haven't got your car wash in 2 or 3 months or something of the sort, and you want to pay me, $35 to do that. I know I'm about to be out here an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I've made $0 at this point. So I'm like, nah, if you want me to come out and you're not willing to purchase my package, it's $125. So I'm getting $125 regardless. So you can choose on how you want to give me the $125, but it's gonna be $125. And
which is actually a damn good price.
It's an excellent price. But,
yeah.
So the way I was looking is either I'm gonna lock you in because I know 2, 3. If you run with me 2 or 3 months, I got you for the next few years. Like if I'm coming to do your service every week for 2 or 3 months, you're never going back to the car wash. It's over. Like the time, the energy, and all that. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people want to be nosy, or like I said, they think they may do you a favor. Oh, I'm gonna do you a favor and let you wash my car. Like that kind of conversation. I'm gonna do you a favor and patronize your business as a favor. Like, nah, this is a relationship. So if I'm not gonna get what I want, then here go $125. Like either you can deal with me or you can't. But we not gonna be. And I think that's weeded out a lot of BS.
You aren't doing me any favors. I mean, granted, yes, you patronize my business and that's appreciated, but we're both getting something out of the deal.
Right.
And I think that, you raising that price point is important because if you can set the standard, you can set a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're learning how to say no comes in, because I've set the standard. Unfortunately, you aren't willing to purchase the full package that comes with everything that I have to offer. So I'm going to have to decline.
It's learning how to say no, like knowing from pricing gives you like that firm no from the beginning. Like, okay, either you're gonna deal with me or not. And it's a minimum to do business, no matter where you go nowadays. It's a minimum. And there's no, hey man, like the way subscription-based businesses are set up today, far from big corporations and stuff, ACH fees and stuff like that. Like they take your money without any kind of service at all. So if I know I'm giving you a service, you're going to pay for the service. Like there's no difference between me and a big corporation. I feel I am a big corporation. So, a lot of times these companies now, like they dictate to you like exactly what it's going to be. They tell us, the client, this is how it's going to be. This is our terms and conditions. And I think being a small business that we don't push our terms on people. Like we take every job as a deal. Like, okay, or this new client, I'm gonna take this new client on just for their needs. Like, no, like my terms and conditions really stand and mean something to me, So pricing definitely sets that barrier. I think for most companies, like in my industry, when I really start talking to other people from the industry, they're not selling people blinds under $1,000. Like if you're not doing your whole house, if you come in to just do 3 windows, they're not coming. Yep. To where we're going to people's houses whether you got 1 window or not. Now for me, go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and they'll refer you to somebody who does that smaller work.
Who does the smaller work? If somebody buys 1 blind from me, right? Our minimum installation is 6. So in some situations, the blind is cheaper than my labor. And it's like sometimes you feel like, all right, it's only 1 window. I can come off the price. It's only 1 window. But when you look up, you do that through a course of a week. $100 in income. So charge the price that it's supposed to be. Don't come up off your number. And if you compare yourself to the big boys of the industry, you know what the big boys of the industry charge. If you're right under their pricing and your service is equal or better, stand on your number.
Yeah, and if and honestly too, Brandon, if you're gonna, my motto is this: if you wanna work in the big boy industry and present yourself as a big boy, you have to have the same guidelines as the big boys. You have to have the same standards as the big boys. You know what I mean? If you start off willing to negotiate in anything you have to offer, which is your integrity, your pricing, your feelings about the job. If you're willing to negotiate that, then you aren't playing in the same space. You know what I mean? There's no if you're selling computers and you're willing to compromise that integrity, or that the moment you're willing to compromise that integrity, you're no longer in the same viewed in the same vein as an Apple or as a Microsoft. You know what I mean? Because you aren't operating under the same guidelines. And that's actually when I feel it's most important to establish the actual guidelines for the company. Establish the mission statement, establish the vision. Once you have all that in place, then people have something. Not only your employees and your clients understand what it is you as a business owner stand for, and your company stands for as well.
That's fire. Yeah. So if we was to, let's try to summarize, if we were summarizing this and just like answering the questions, should a business say no to the client?
Yes.
Everybody's
But
Go ahead, Brandon. So
you guys there?
yeah, we here.
No.
Oh.
Everything had froze for a second.
Did you hear the question or no?
Is he gone? I think I heard him trying.
No, he back.
I'm back.
There you go. Cool.
Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't catch it, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was saying let's summarize and just answer the questions flat out, just because I think the conversation is dope. But I just want to make sure that we get like the questions answered. Should businesses say no to clients or customers?
Man, Mike already went on that one.
Yeah, he said yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely agree with saying no.
So it depends on who's saying no, in my book, I think. An employee's role is to service the company. All employees have the power to say no? No. Do I have the power to say no, or the management and upper level people? Yes. So yes is the answer. Yes.
That's a good delineation. Yeah, I expect my clients to carry out whatever's put forth in front of them. But yeah, there is definitely I said my clients, I expect my team to do whatever put forth in front of them. But yeah, definitely there's some people that's in position to make those decisions for sure. I say that too because in part of my early hustle, so what I'm realizing too, a lot of this early hustle shapes like the latter, like now I'm getting there, but I'm finding it harder to shake the programming per se. We started working for this one cat real early, limo driver, 2-3 times a week. I think at the time he was driving for Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, Boys II Men, and like countless other people. Like I've washed cars at the what is it, the Grammys and different shit dealing with him. And what he told me was never say no. Like, cause I'm like, yo, your business look like it's popping. What's the key? Oh man, you never say no. And me aspiring.
Yeah, it's easy not to say no to people of that caliber because they're that caliber. Everybody's not of that caliber.
And but the programming stayed with me. So when people would force bad terms on me or be outside of what I would consider comfortable or preferable, I would still say yeah. And it would, I mean, it damaged, if I'm honestly looking back to certain points of the business, I've lost good team members, and missed out on some good money because of my reluctancy to say no. And I think so the programming is, early on is I think crucial. And I think, like, to say, like, when we doing these conversations, it's definitely great for somebody that's coming up, because if you can get the program right off the jump and not be the hustler trying to become an entrepreneur, but start as the entrepreneur, totally different game. Totally different game.
So just to piggyback on that, Kev, two things. One, you and said guy weren't in the same industry. So him, his rule of thumb for don't say no applies to the type of clientele he has and the industry that he services. Your industry is a bit different because everything is not a yes. You know what I mean? And just circumstances are different. The other thing that I wanted to say about that is that it's important to be flexible in business. But don't be flexible to the point that being flexible is going to break you, because there's a fine line between being flexible and being breakable.
And I call you often. Like, remember, I think I told you about the one guy who needed his car washed outside of business hours, and I'm thinking, like, and they trying to squeeze me now. The way that, like, the buildings work is, one person complaining enough can work against you. Mm-hmm. No, regardless of how many people aren't complaining, that one squeaky wheel is, they definitely trying to oil. And I'm like, damn, Mike, am I tripping? Because to facilitate service for this guy outside of my normal business operations would be more burdensome or cumbersome than the service he's getting, and he's not even committed to the service. Like, and I think I remember you discussing those two different types of business. I think you said time frames, the 9 to 5, and then what was it?
Oh yeah, and it's 9 to 5, and then it's the other 9 to 5, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah. So, man, okay. So that was, we agree that saying no to clients is necessary.
It's definitely necessary.
Certain instances, it's a must.
Yeah.
I will listen to what's the dude's name? Zig Ziglar. It's a difference between a prospect and a suspect. Some people are prospects, some people are suspect, and you are. It is okay. It's okay for you to say no, bro. It truly is. It definitely is.
So can I remove that you a lazy black man stigma that I carry because I don't run and jump now for every single person? At one point, like, I would feel terrible if I wasn't working, or if I turned down a job. Like, if I just wanted to stay home with my family because there isn't a viable client or so, I would feel terrible.
So who you are and what you do are two different things. Just you got to separate them. If you're at home being a lazy black man, that's on you personally. But if your business is functioning the way that it's supposed to function, and if you built that, then you're entitled to say no. You paid the price. You paid for the privilege in sweat equity, in money, in blood, sweat, and tears.
Tears, yeah.
Yeah,
I done cried once, maybe.
Yeah, bro. You paid for the privilege to be selective on who you work with.
If you ain't had a teary-eyed moment, you ain't a real business owner, bro. And that's the thing that make you rewrite the rules of your life. Like, I remember not too long ago, I went through a little dark phase. Felt like everything was not going the right way, right? Pushback from employees, pushback from customers, like, hey, past that flexible point, almost into breaking. Like, man, this shit ain't cool. But that was when I kind of like, all right, let me redefine everything on my plate. Like, I'm gonna do business like this. I'm gonna do business the way that I need it to be done for myself, for my family, and this is my vision of what I want. A lot of times, I think we can let that stigma thing steer us, and it's like, no, that's not me. In my industry, construct almost like a construction kind of finished work product inside of someone's home. So we kind of get judged for those alcoholic painters and stuff, that era of guys who were painters and stuff like that. We get kind of judged off of that. And it's like, I dare you put me in that book. You can't put me in that book. We're not the same person at all. So no, hell, tell they ass hell no. And you're not a lazy black person for saying no. It just means I made it to a certain part of my life where I don't want to work so hard.
Or so unsmart.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'll take that. The other question was, how do you say no? When saying no, how do you say no? I know we had the discussion, like I said, but I just want to put buttons on them.
So, in my opinion, it's two ways to say no. There's a hard no, which is a hard pass. If somebody's just asking you to do some outrageous, thing that you just aren't comfortable with, or that it's not within the vision of your business, or it doesn't fit into the mold or the niche that your business has created, then it's a hard no. The other part to that is you attempt to turn the no into a yes, because oftentimes, from the hustler's perspective, if we were just to turn this, into a 180, for us, no just means we don't have enough information to say yes. You know what I mean? And if you're going to tell your customer no, then you have to give them enough information to say yes. Like, yo, I don't do this, but this is what I do and how I do it and why you'd be satisfied, right? And if this isn't what you want, let me refer you to somebody that's going to say yes. So you redirect the no into a yes however you can.
I agree with that. You try to turn it into a yes if possible. I went through a phase of feeling that I didn't like, when I would explain stuff to customers, even in my personal life, I always try to give people the explanation of why I'm saying no or why it can't be done. So making sure that you ain't got to do a song and dance and make them feel sorry about it, but you should explain to them in a layman's term to where they can understand why the no is being said. Sometimes they're going to push back, and if they push back, it's not your point to kind of go through a debate or anything like that or get offended, but kind of just informative no, and this is the reason why we can't do it.
And I agree with you.
I think that's interesting. I'm going back to the latest note that I told you guys about at the top of the show. I erased maybe 3 or 4 texts in saying why I wasn't going to be able to service it. I'm like, man, I don't need to explain
exactly.
this to you. Like, So I understand what you're saying, like inform knows. And at one point, so this is again, I'm kind of jumping, but this is again back to my early programming. The same dude that told me you never say no, also told me he don't give a shit about nothing I got going on, right? So if I'm like, hey man, I gotta take my, this is how I was doing business in the jump. Hey man, I gotta take my kid to the doctor tomorrow, so I can't come at 7, but I can come at 12. Like, he was like, dude, I don't give a shit about if you gotta take your kid to the doctor. Like, I need my car to wash at 7. Can you do it or not? Like, that was the conversation. So
Yep.
The training that I was having was no, like, can you do it? I can't do it. And I wouldn't give an explanation for why. Like, so I can see where it would be informative to say that, but then when somebody like be like, dude, so I started running through business like, yo, they don't give a shit about what you got going. It's either can you
No,
help them or can you not?
and when I say no, it's not. I'm never gonna mix my family within business. You feel me? Unless it's an emergency. If my informative no is telling you why I'm not doing the job or doing the work for you. Hey, me taking my kid to school, or hey, the car got a flat tire or in the transmission shop, that's none of their business. They're not gonna give a fuck. It's only based off of the work that needs to be done. As far as involving, because when you do involve the family element or your personal element, whatever response they give to it, you're going to take it personal. So I've learned not to even put my personal shit in their mix.
They didn't come to patronize your business to learn about your family. If you this is about them. Them coming to your business is about them, and so it's important to understand the etiquette with regard to saying no, because if you just say no, then who knows how that's interpreted. But if you still keep the transaction about the customer in the forefront of the way that you say no, I feel like that's extremely important. You know what I mean? There's a difference between, hey, can you wash my car today? And I get a text message back from you saying no. My interpretation is just gonna be like, who the fuck does this guy think he is?
Who is he?
But but if the text message comes back, and it can even be an automated text message, hey, good morning, thanks for hitting us up or thinking about us to do your whatever the service is. Unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, the available slots that we have for today or for the day that you're looking to get the service done is between yada yada and yada yada. Please use Calendly to schedule your appointment. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a great day. There's two different ways to go about that.
Yeah, those are good situations. I mean, what I've done to my workaround now is I don't have space like that, like you're saying, Calendly. Like, my situations are set up a little bit different. But
it's different, yeah.
Yeah, I do let them know, like, hey, we booked for today. You can I'll send you some information and we can discuss you getting onto the plan, and then you see what I'm saying. But
yeah,
but I wanted to get to these and as y'all can see, I keep trying to go back to the initial, because the programming, like, there was certain programming that I had, and shaking the programming now, it's not hard, but it's different. You get what I'm saying? Like, so with the guy, I told him, like, I asked him a question, couldn't really tell him no. Like I said, I erased 3 or 4 texts. Then I was like, let me ask him a question that's going to put it in a position framed, like, when he says no, he knows that the job is no longer conducive. You get what I'm saying? And I asked him the question, like, yo, so I was under the impression that I would be doing this, this, and this. Is that what's going to happen? Or am I going to now have to start doing this, this, and this? If so, then I can do this, this, and this, because one, it'll be too arduous. And then, as we talked about liability, I'll have to close my truck. Like, it's a lot of work in that. And he was like, no. And I'm like, cool. And then I'm going to have to pass. You get what I'm saying? Now, he's not coming back, though. I mean, I have to pass.
Well, then he's not.
Yeah. Because they
he's not the only person that needs that service. You know what I mean? Sure. And he's him really, the blessing is in the redirection. And him taking himself off of your plate probably made room for another 10 of him. Because when you initially started dealing with him, you were a different person. you were a different type of entrepreneur, and you've learned so much between then and now that his expectation of who you are and what your availability is and the way that you deal with him as the customer, that was from 5 years ago. Things have changed. You know what I mean?
Yesterday's price.
It's not today's price. Shout out to Fat Joe. Yeah.
Real. That's one of the hardest things when you dealt with a customer for so long, and then you kind of like gotta sever ties. But it's always for the best. Every time that I lost that one customer, I thought that was the customer. Like, this is the one that we're supposed to keep on the pedestal. You end up getting one that's better than them, and then you actually know how to create your terms with the people from the very beginning. I had this one dude who he managed like maybe 6 30-unit buildings down in the jungles. It was good money, like, you know what I mean? It was good money, but I'm on a net 30 with him. So, you know, first few jobs go through, you got 1,200 that you're waiting for on the back end. It come in within 30 days. Now we 6 months into doing business. That check stopped coming on 30 days. That check start coming on 45 days. Some days it done went up to 3 months. Now you're looking for your money, but he still wants to put in orders and be treated as if, hey, my business is running your business. My business is what making you be in business. And you got to go grab them COD invoices and say, well, nah, it's still shit on the books. So that right there made me change a lot to where it made me kind of be more of the asshole, more firm with my people, with the people I do business with, you know?
And more able to say no.
Yes.
So when I look at this and listen to us discuss it, I liken it to like when people say, you know, if you love yourself first, then then you can show somebody else how to love you or whatever, that kind of conversation. It seemed like it's in that same vein, like as you grow and mature and start to understand what's for you, like I don't think it's taught. For sure, for me, my programming in the beginning wasn't, hey, you can determine your clientele. You can set the boundaries. As I'm showing y'all that everybody reached out. I mean, I ran from, our days would literally be running from like Whittier to Long Beach. And one day, that's an hour, 2 hours, freeway traffic, the whole thing. And I'm going, damn, because I was taught to never say no, if you called me, we was coming. Like, you get what I'm saying? And I wasn't taught that I can choose, pick, teach, give clients my terms and conditions. So now that I'm learning that, it's allowing me to really, I'm gonna say, feel empowered as an entrepreneur, more so than when I used to just be running around. I would be busy and I would feel good about hustling, but as we know, that this is about the hustler to entrepreneur. Like that's 2 levels. And I think, as what you're saying, Brandon, like, it's not being more of an asshole. It's just being more pointed with what's for you. Like, this is my lane.
You just said about going back and forth from Whittier to Long Beach, right? I've had days where we got 3 trucks in the field with 4 to 5 jobs for each truck to go do on that day. So about 15 jobs that our service guy have to go see. And you have a decent day, maybe one or 2 of those clients they're late to. Then I've had days to where there's been 1 job on the schedule that makes more money than that one day with 15 jobs on there. And you start looking at that one job. What was that one job about? Okay, that was a new development. That was this type of client. And you start building on, this is the type of client that I want. And instead of me having 5 jobs on one guy's schedule, one's worth $75, another one worth $150. you got one big one on that's worth 5,000. That's the one that you got to put your attention into for the day, and kind of really living. I had to start really living on that. So now with the turnkey business, I only look for commercial business. I'm not looking for any residential, only commercial business. So I can crack one job every 3 months and make what it would take me to see probably 100 customers.
I think that's brilliant. My question in my mind is, and we kind of hit it, but I really want it maybe firm. Did we have to start, as you say, paying tuition, or could we have been smarter and been like, hey, this is the area? Because I mean, really what we're talking about is marketing per se, right? Knowing your client and then spending the time to get to that client, right? But I want to know, did I have to start at this bottom, scraping and scrambling, or could I have just, like, yo, this is the client I want, and this is where, you see what I'm saying, this is what I'm going to go get.
For me, you got to think about it. I came into my dad's regime, so I had a pecking order that I had to follow. So for me, it's me breaking away from the true foundation of business that my dad created. Like for the last 8 to 10 years, I was just managing what he had created. And then you start really seeing like, man, this shit is, man, we're doing commercial work, we're doing residential, we're doing every job that pops up, we're taking. And it's like, you start really looking at that like, it ain't the best business model, don't get me wrong. It's keeping cash flow coming, but it's not the business model sometimes. So it's like, you start looking at it like, us selling the discount clearance blind, or should we be selling custom blinds? We should be selling custom blinds. So for me, the tuition came in stages. A lot of my first mistakes was made on somebody else's dime. So, I got a little bit of ridicule about it, but I didn't have to actually eat the loss. When you start eating the loss, or you have a good week and then you clear payroll, clear bills, and then you see what you put in your pocket, you start looking at that shit completely different. Like I had to break everything down to the foundation and rebuild it.
Yeah, and I think in one way or another, you will pay tuition, and it's a continuous thing though, Kev. And like Brandon said, like he had to reevaluate what was happening, and sometimes you got to reevaluate and reinvent yourself. You got to reinvent the brand at some point. You know what I mean? I've driven by Pollo Loco just this week, and I'm like, damn, they redoing the way that they, that they're presenting the brand to the public, and all great companies do that. You know what I mean? They keep their foundation and their niche about them. But the way that they present it to the public is always changing, because public opinion is always changing. I mean, even based on social media, and public selection is always changing. People don't necessarily, once they've done it, then they're like, okay, this is, I need to get to the next best thing. But if there is no next best thing and your business is the flex, then they will continue to come back, and you have set the bar, you've set the standard. And at that point, whatever research and development you do to make your brand better is only an enhancement. But you still will pay tuition one way or the other. And, whether it's, marketing to your customer, or learning about yourself, or checking the metrics from your brand and realizing what works better than anything else, and going with that and trying that out. I feel like that is a tuition, and it's the time. The tuition is more so the time than the money. And if you take the time to actually figure out what's going on, then you'll figure out how to have a successful business and keep it successful.
Fire. I agree. I think franchises, I think it's mandatory. I think something like every 10 years, if they change the outside, at least for McDonald's, if they change the outside of their structures across the board, redo it, repaint it, some new innovative logo or evolve logo.
You look at 10 years is a very long time, and within 10 years you have so many new buyers that come into the market. So like just like music, just breaking it down from a music perspective, I remember hating music the last few years, hating it, until I started re-listening to my son listen to certain stuff, and it's like they're not selling this stuff anymore for me, they're selling it for the next generation. So within business, same thing. Like, okay, what's going to come on? What's the next 10 years looking like? And being able to really scope and say, okay, it's about to go in this direction. I need to pivot and do this. You got to be able to read your market that you're in and say, hey, it's going this direction. I need to change it for a younger customer. I need to change it for the older customer. My first time using the curbside pickup was for groceries through Walmart. It was maybe about a month or so ago. If Walmart and these companies can have all their customers order the stuff online, pull up to this number, and we're gonna bring your groceries and put them in your trunk. If they can shut their front doors and only use their grocery stores as warehouses, they would do it. So once you get enough people who buy in and say, well, we don't need to go in there anymore, we can order everything online, that business is about to go automated, and you won't see people walking around in that warehouse ever again.
I honestly, just because we on that subject, not to get off our subject, but I think I like the pandemic. I like the restaurant response. It seemed like everything was better because they didn't have to attend to live people like inside of it was like they was able to get the food right. And but yeah, I get it. I hear it. So, okay. So I think we pretty much slam the idea that you should be able to say no. Knowing when to say no is pretty much based on one, where you're possibly at, but two, knowing your client and knowing yourself.
And also, good.
Go ahead.
Just on number 2, asking those thought-provoking questions. Because if you ask, I don't know if I forget the name of the little maze chart that they use, where it's like, okay, is this happening? If so, go left. If not, stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get to the next question. Is this happening? And then if they say yes, okay, you go to the next question. If not, then stop. Or the flow chart situation. Yeah. So.
And then 3, when saying no, it's best if you can provide a way to get the client to a yes, or the customer that you're saying no to a yes, which means helping facilitate them towards a more viable solution, or something that you feel is more viable of a solution for what they're looking for, which I think is amazing, because that'll keep you at the top of the industry as not just great product, great work, great brand, but also as an authority in that industry. I think that's fire.
Totally agree.
Yeah, man. So y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about? Y'all want to shut it down? We had an hour and 40 minutes. I got at least another 30 minutes before some real football come on. But
I think we got plenty of content.
Today was a good day. I was able to do this while on the road driving from Alabama. So I'm in Atlanta right now. So shit, it's we got to keep pushing the envelope. Let's not stop. Let's keep it going.